Hey there, everybody. I wish that I could be in Atlanta today to be live in the room for this panel, but I had to be at an extended family wedding last night in Los Angeles, and there was really no way to get from Los Angeles to Atlanta to be part of this panel in person. So I've recorded this short video to share with you some of my experiences of growing my horizons by taking up stand-up comedy over 50 years old. So my name is Thom Singer, and for 15 years, I've been a professional speaker in the meetings industry. And a year and a half ago, I took on the job as the CEO of the Austin Technology Council, a small business organization in Austin, Texas. So I've been both a vendor in the association world, and now I'm working inside an association. And I've learned a lot throughout my life that has helped me in this role, but probably not as much as I've learned from anything else from taking up stand-up at the age I did. And the way this came about is I was going to be giving a speech in New York City. And I reached out to a friend of mine who is a professional speaker, but he's also a professional comic. And I told him, hey, let's go grab dinner and a drink while I'm in town. And he said, hey, the night you're going to be here, I'm going to open mic night. And then he said, Thom, why don't you come with me? Well, this sort of excited me because I'd been to a lot of comedy shows. I'd just never seen comics workshop materials. And so I told him, God, Drew, I would love to watch you work on new material. And he said to me, that's not what I'm inviting you to do. You see, what he was inviting me to do was to write my own stand-up set and go up on stage and tell jokes. I thought, no way. But then I realized that I'm one who likes to challenge myself. And after I turned 50, I decided I wasn't going to be scared of things. I was going to put myself into situations where I could expand my horizons. So I agreed to do it. I wrote a 5-minute set. I met him at the club. I put my name on the list. And when they called my name, put my notes on the little wooden stool, and I stood there and I told jokes. And you know what? People laughed. I mean, this wasn't belly laughter. It wasn't the funniest thing you've ever seen. And had Jerry Seinfeld been in that audience, he would not have been worried about job security. However, when I finished, I came home to Austin, Texas, and I told my wife there was something about this that was intriguing. And I made a proclamation that I was going to go out and do 100 open mic nights, which meant when I traveled to go give speeches, I was going to look up to see, was there an open mic night in Cleveland that night? Was there an open mic night in San Diego, in Washington, D.C., in Boston, in Seattle? Wherever I was, I would go to a local comedy club or a coffee shop or a bar. I'd sign up on a list and I'd get up and do 3 to 5 minutes of stand-up. And it wasn't great, but I've now done over 170 open mic nights. And what I want to share with you is what I've learned from that experience. So the first tip is, if you want to really expand, you've got to try new things. Looking at this through the lens of associations, if your association events or your big conference, if everything is the same as it was last year, the year before that, it's going to go stale. If you want to grow and change and attract new members and keep older members engaged, you've got to shake things up. In fact, if you look at professional comics, that's what they do. They write an hour-long show and then they go on the road and perform it for a year or two, and then they throw it all away and they write new sets. If you go and see Bill Burr or any of the famous comics, if you saw them 3 years ago, it's all new jokes. They're always trying new things. They're workshopping it to find out what works. They're putting it into their show. They're performing to sold-out audiences, and then they throw it all away and do it again. Now, some of these are better than others. John Mulaney is one of my favorite comics. He has 3 comedy specials on Netflix. The middle one, I don't think is as funny as the first one or the most recent one. So that's okay. He keeps doing the work. He keeps writing new things. And that's what you're going to see from everybody. Same thing with Amy Poehler or anyone that you look at who does comedy. They're always workshopping it and trying new things. Are we doing that in our associations? Are we getting our staff and our members and our board to be willing to throw out what worked in the past to create something new? I think if you want to excel in the future, you've got to adopt the idea of try new things. The second thing is you got to be willing to fail. Failure is part of the process for comics. I myself have bombed many an open mic night, and I've watched other people who are great comics. They're really funny. I've watched them get up and absolutely flop. And it's okay. It's part of the process. It's how we learn. So if you're going to try new things in your association, in your career, in your life, you got to know that not everything you try is going to be a home run, and it's okay. It's part of that process. You need to educate your members and your board that sometimes we're going to try something and it's not going to be wonderful. And that's just part of it. Next year, we'll try something different and it's going to be amazing. I've actually realized that some of the best association leaders I worked with as a professional speaker are the ones who say, we want to make our conference different this year. Let's play. Let's not do it the way we do every other conference. And they move the pieces around. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when you know failure is part of the process, you're not scared to try those new things. The third tip is that it takes a long time to really reach the highest levels of success. If you look at Amy Schumer, if you look at any of the famous comics who are out there touring and doing specials, they didn't just start a year or two ago. It's very rare to see a comic who appears on the scene and then has runaway success. Most of them spend 10 and 15 years putting the pieces together, touring, not getting paid very much before they're discovered and they're able to make it work. And this is true, I think, for the changes that we're trying to make in the association world. Since the pandemic, a lot of things have changed. I was hired to take over the Austin Technology Council with the idea of reinventing it, which has meant I've had to strip it down to the bare essentials, and then we're going to rebuild it. If I had looked at this as a one-year project, I wouldn't have succeeded. In fact, it's not even a 2-year project. This is a 3 to 5 year project, and the board knows it and our membership knows it, that we're going to have to throw out some things we've done for a long time and change up the things that we've done. And if we want to really see the organization thrive for the next 30 years, we're going to have to rebuild it every decade or so. And that's okay, but it takes a long time. And when you can take that long focus and you can get everybody working with you on your staff and your board to take a long focus, and you can get your members to understand that you're going to try new things. Sometimes you're going to fail and it's going to take time, but we're all in it together. That's when you're going to see the success. And then finally, the fourth tip is, you have to laugh at yourself along the way. When you're doing stand-up comedy, sometimes you're the only one who thinks a joke is funny. You tell a joke and the audience looks at you like, really, man, you thought that was funny? Sometimes you have a punchline that just doesn't work. So you got to tweak it the next time you get up there. Like I said, I've done 170 open mic nights, and some of the jokes that I've told 20, 30, 40 times, I've changed them up and they work. Others, I've never been able to find how to make them work, but I believe there's something there. And so I say to myself, every time I get up on a stage to do stand-up, at least one person is going to laugh at me. It might be myself laughing at how silly I am to have even tried that joke. But you know what? It's okay. I often see leaders in associations and corporations everywhere who they're so worried about what people are going to say about them that they position themselves, they peacock, they want to look perfect. I mean, I see this with professional speakers. If you look at the marketing materials of some people, it's like, fake laughter, posed pictures in front of, airplanes or jets that they don't own. Everybody wants to look like they're super successful because they think that's what matters. But I think the people we relate to the most, comedy, speakers, association management, in corporations, I think it's the people who we can relate to. So my advice is laugh at yourself, be willing to show the parts of yourself where you failed, where things didn't work, and you're going to find more success. So those are just a few of the things I learned from trying my hand at stand-up comedy. Like I said, I've done 170 open mic nights. I think it's helped me do a better job running this association because I'm not scared of failure. I understand trying new things. And I know that some of the things I do, I just tell the board, hey, I'm figuring this as I go. And they're either along for the ride or they're not. And it's all okay. I've also seen it in my speaking business that I've become more playful on stage. I always worried that if I was going to speak for an association, I had to be speaker man. You know what I found? Audiences like it when you get up there and you're just yourself, that you're the same person when you're on stage as you are when you're in the bar having a drink with a friend. And I think that's what we can learn from stand-up comics is just be yourself and keep trying and get out there and workshop everything you do. And don't be scared of what everybody thinks about you, because when you figure it out and you find your way, it's going to be awesome. Anyway, I wish I could have been there with you. Have a great rest of this session. Have a great rest of the conference. And I hope to be there next year.